Chicago, Caleb and company, almost touchdown favorites. But the offense has hit a bit of a dry spell of late. Here's DJ Moore. Take a listen.
You just got to go back to the drawing board and start putting people in different positions to be able to move the ball and just stay on the same page and stick together.
Okay. Also a battle of the number 1 QB taken versus the number 3. Drake hasn't even played that much, but already has 7 touchdowns. Caleb has 9. Again, he hasn't thrown that many recently. Passer rating, that's Drake. And we're doing total yards because Drake has more of those. He's out there flying, dude. It's like the fastest guys of all time. It's like Randall Cunningham.
So go ask the
Drake
question.
Maye, Michael Vick. Chances Drake outplays Caleb.
Very slim. But you know one thing I noticed that was missing from your Drake Maye graphic? The only quarterback stat that you care about.
W's?
You claim to be the ultimate. I didn't see team record there. How have they in the 3 games? Because hold on, no. Because I'll admit I don't watch the Patriots as closely as you. In the 3 games you were counting there because he got knocked out of one game. I know the one game they won this last month wasn't the game that he left in the beginning of the second quarter, was it?
You can't inspire a team from the sidelines?
Oh, okay. So, listen, their best offensive performance of the last month was the game he left early. The most points they've scored, the only game they won. And listen, I like Drake Maye as a prospect. I like him now. He is a dynamic runner, and he is faster than people expect white quarterbacks to be. He's not like sneaky fast. People just are surprised that he's fast because he's a white quarterback, but he's a hell of an athlete, and he's got a strong arm. But I would be very surprised if he outplays Caleb. We've kind of seen this from the Bears this year. The offense goes in a funk, then it plays great. Now it's back in a funk. I expect it to play great. And I think that this might be the only spot wilds on the Bears' entire schedule where they have a coaching advantage. Because I don't think Eberflus and those guys are any good, but I'm certain they know more of what they're doing than the staff Gerard Mayo's put together. So I would be very surprised if Drake Maye outplays Caleb Williams.
Can I say something? Caleb played Jaden. Jaden outplayed Caleb. I think the Bears could win this game because the Patriots are in a rebuilding year. But if Drake does all the stuff that Caleb is supposed to be great at, more mobile, flying around the field. I thought Caleb was going to be good at that. Turns out Drake is better at that. Airing the ball out, extending plays. I thought Caleb was going to do that. We just saw Drake have a game.
Lose a game trying to.
Yeah, you know why? Because he's throwing the ball down the field, though. Caleb, on passes of 15 or more air yards, 31%, 29th out of qualified quarterbacks according to Cronin of ESPN. So, look, Drake's going to throw the ball
Drake?
deep. I don't know.
Where's Drake on those?
I don't know. It's a Bears thing. Better.
Doesn't qualify.
I think there's an argument that Drake has been playing better than Caleb.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly, like Drake has played well. Caleb's had his games, but lately he's struggled. But this game, if Caleb Nick doesn't play better this game, because Caleb has far better weapons around him, and he's
okay. So sorry, it's gonna cut off. This would be. Let me see if I can. There we go. Perfect. I don't want to get too hung up on the numbers because, right? It's not the same number of games, and you're playing different opponents and all of this. So I think these direct comparisons are a little tricky. If there was a little bit maybe more overlap and more the sample size was the same, then we could unpack those numbers a little bit more. I'm not going to get lost in those numbers too much, honestly, at all. And quite frankly, the numbers are kind of irrelevant to me at this point from a rookie standpoint. But I will come out and say this though. Reputationally, energy, vibes, however we want to put it, right? If Drake Maye outplays Caleb, it would be devastating, right? It honestly would be. And I am not doom and gloom type of guy. I am not sound the alarm. I am like, especially as the season unfolded, so many of my videos, because when the season first started, like you could see all the media hype up like every single game, right? Like this game matters so much, and I came out and was like, okay, let's relax. It's week 1, it's week 2, it's week 3. They can lose this game, this, that, and the third. It's okay. And and it was like I was very the opposite of that, and I it dawned on me that it's like, well, so many of these networks and stuff, they're also selling these games. They're selling the narratives, and so they want everyone to be like, we got to watch this game, can't miss TV. And I take it from a more practical standpoint. So I'm not going to come here and just be like, if Caleb loses, that's devastating. Clearly he's a bust. He's the worst. Like, that's not the energy that I'm bringing either. But again, the reputation, which it matters and it doesn't matter, quite frankly. When you are a rookie quarterback and you had the amount of hype and energy behind Caleb, it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, it shouldn't, but it does. And if you're with the right coaching staff, with the right team and culture, then it doesn't matter, right? Then it's minimized. But can't necessarily say that that's the situation for the Chicago Bears. So to have him be outplayed by Jaden Daniels, just losing in general, right, is technically bad enough. And then if they lose to Drake Maye and the New England Patriots, the Patriots were supposed to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. They were supposed to be bottom 2, bottom 3. The whole thing was like they're going to have another top draft pick going into this, this next coming draft and all of that, like just bottom of the barrel. Whereas the Chicago Bears, Nick Wright had them going to the Super Bowl, right? Nick Wright said that Caleb Williams was going to be an MVP candidate and that the NFL was going to be easier for him than in college. And now, to be very clear, I said that I think that the Chicago Bears would be really good and would compete and make the playoffs, right? I didn't go as far as say Super Bowl, but I said the playoffs. So I am very high on Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. And I understand the season has not unfolded that way, and I've still defended Caleb every single step of the way. I'm even defending him here in this very clip as to say, like, let's not get too lost in these stats, because I could easily just be like, look, Drake Maye's a better quarterback. This is an issue. This is concerning. And I'm like, I'm not going there. But if he loses and doesn't play well, or even if he just plays like decent, okay, good, average, right? Like it's a good outing, but Drake Maye shows special, that would be a problem. Because Drake Maye has shown some special. I've been very, very impressed with Maye. And again, I'm also on the record saying don't start Drake Maye this season, right? I was like, don't start him, let him sit out the whole season. I'm a big fan of that. And I was like, you don't have the team here, you don't have the coaching staff, you're going to kind of ruin Drake Maye. And he's shown a lot of fire in him. And so this game is actually going to be really awesome. Before this game was like, who cares? But like this game has turned quickly into like a fascinating game. The Bears are coming off of a couple like really bad losses. Drake Maye, again, actually has energy. As you can see, if you just blindly look at the stats, you can see that there is energy. The Patriots are desperate to find their next quarterback. They've been struggling ever since Brady left years and years and years ago. So there's a ton of energy behind this game, behind Drake Maye. And Caleb Williams, unfortunately, his stock is falling. And again, to be very clear, I'm not saying that it's permanently falling or anything like that. But in terms of reputationally, the conversations that are being had on shows like this, right, have turned into what happens if Drake Maye outplays Caleb Williams, right? Nobody would have thought that would have been the conversation weeks ago, let alone months ago. Right? Like that's not the conversations that anybody was necessarily prepared to have. This graphic, nobody was prepared to show and be like, well, what's going on here now? My God, look at this. Is Drake Maye a better player than Caleb? That's the problem, right? So that is what Caleb is going up against. And listen, Caleb knows it. There is this misleading idea that like, oh, Caleb is just so locked in or he doesn't care about that type of stuff. Those are just things that people say. Caleb cares. Every single player cares, right? Especially when you're in the same draft class and just going up against other quarterbacks. Like Caleb Williams, in his heart of all hearts, first off, he's said this, that he wants to be the greatest to ever do it. In his heart of all hearts, he believes that he can be better than Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, like any of the greats before him. He truly believes that. And right now, he's not even playing like the best quarterback in his own draft class, right? That's a problem, and that's going to haunt him as well in his own mind. That is something that he is going to undeniably struggle with. there was already this mythology around Caleb. He has no fear. He doesn't experience fear. He's never nervous. And I was like, well, that's nonsense. It's just not true. Everybody gets scared. Everybody gets nervous. Everybody gets afraid, unless you literally have a brain disorder, right? And unless he has a brain disorder, which to my knowledge he doesn't, it's not going to happen. And so there's always been this kind of mythology around Caleb. And I feel as though this year that has been, shattered pretty significantly. It doesn't mean that he's not going to turn it around. It doesn't mean that he's not going to be an all-time great. It doesn't mean that he's not going to be able to even just, course correct this season alone. It's just each game now has just become so much more important just reputationally. There's another clip, which I don't know if I'm going to do just because I have so many other clips that I want to create. But I might do it or I might not, but I'll just add it on to this take then, because there was the whole conversation about is it a must win for the Chicago Bears? And I guess I assume I will do that clip and I'll just post it later. But I'll just quickly say here is that, like, no, it's not a must win, because this season was never about trying to like make the playoffs, get to the Super Bowl, any of those types of things. This season was always about developing Caleb Williams, showing the Chicago Bears that they have, course corrected their franchise, that they're on the right track, that they're improving, that they're getting better, that they're more competitive, that they got the players, etc., etc., etc. Well, the coaching staff, and that's why Nick was like, I don't trust this coaching staff. He trusted them before to get them to the Super Bowl. Now he's like, I don't trust them at all. So again, there's a lot of messiness for this season. They are going to most likely clean house with coaching. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this game, if Eberflus just gets fired, quite frankly. They are going to, most definitely get new coaching. And so really this season is not about must win, got to do this, got to do that. It may not even be you got to beat Drake Maye. It's like, hey, he's in a messy situation with bad coaching, and you can say, well, hey, what about the Patriots? What type of situation is Drake Maye in? And again, it's a valid argument. It is. But again, you don't have to. Just because one person can overcome a bad situation more than another person doesn't automatically mean that they're a better quarterback, right? Like I don't believe in that. People need different environments, different circumstances to maximize who they are as a player. And just because one person can do it differently or better in a different situation doesn't automatically mean that they're better. So I no longer see these things as necessarily must win. But again, if we're talking about reputationally and what it means going into the next season, even getting another coach, even, right? Like it matters, because if you want a great coach, you have to signal Caleb is legit. If Caleb kind of keeps continuing to struggle and have problems, then a top coach might be like, I don't know if I really want to mess around with this. Like, I don't know if I want to deal with Caleb. Caleb's looking like a bust. I don't want to have that on my, on my resume for the next 2-3 years or whatever. Like, it's definitely got messy. There's no hiding that. There's absolutely no hiding that. But this game has certainly gotten bigger than it would have originally been billed for. But at the end of the day, it's not a must win. But at the minimum, it's a must look competent. I think that's ultimately what this all can be summed up as. It's an ultimate, a minimally and must look competent. Caleb has to look competent, comfortable, and not look like Drake Maye is superior, right? Like that's what it gets boiled down to more than anything. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb Williams versus Drake Maye? Patriots at Bears. Who do you got? What is the importance of this game? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.